Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I am your host, Zack Mapscanis, alongside the lover boy himself, Javier Ortiz.
Yo.
What's up, baby?
What up, boy?
Yo,
Hey,
the
hey.
Tomba boy himself.
I still have it from that Sony episode. I still have it right here next to me.
Tomba. Do you have Tomba 1?
No, that's the one. It's weird. I don't have the first one, but I have the second one.
You know, I bet that's a hard game to find out. I bet that's like a $50 game.
Yeah. You know what? That'd be interesting. I'm going to do a quick search while you go through
you search, and I'll keep doing my host duties.
Yeah.
Remember, everyone, that Multiplayer Day is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/multiplayer. You can also check us out on podcast services of your choice. Pick one, whatever your favorite is. You can, just wish upon a star, like, I wish to listen to Multiplayer on Spotify, and boom, we'll be there. Or Pandora, or Stitcher, or any of that nonsense. iTunes, Google Podcasts, or all over the place. So check all of that out. All right.
I got prices on Toomba, by the way.
Ooh, I'll take a guess in a second. So... and also, remember to follow us, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps out the show. At Go Multiplayer on Instagram is kind of the best way to find us, where we'll be doing some live shows and stuff like that. We're not doing it this week. I need to figure out my internet issues with oh gosh, I'm on the wrong internet right now. So hopefully I'm doing okay. I'm having all sorts of Wi-Fi issues, so we'll try and work out the kinks and do that next week. But we're just always working live. That's basically
so far so good.
We're still, despite this being episode 75 of our show, we're basically still in our infancy. Learning things as we go, and I feel like we're always we're a species that's always learning.
Hey,
so
I can barely talk. So
yeah. So I don't know.
You're talking to your cat again? Is that your cat?
No, Jerry's looking for the cat. Yep, that's that's what happens when you record at home.
Cats and dogs. I got my dog right over there.
You were like, you're an outside dog. I heard that earlier. Oh man. Okay, Hav, we have a big old show today.
We do have a pretty big show. Lots of big things just happened this past week.
It sure did. But before we get to that, Tomba price.
$50.
Okay.
So
60?
Nope.
Way higher?
Yeah.
Wow, $120.
I saw Toomba 1 go for like $185.
Wow.
Yeah. And Toomba 2 I saw for like $90. So
man,
I guess they're pretty valuable. I gotta find a way to get that first one. Complete the collection.
I know, right? All 2 Toomba games.
Yeah, really. Buy Whoopie
Yeah,
Camp.
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some games out there that are like just a little more on the obscure side, and that are just kind of hard to find. And I guess Toomba's one of them.
Hey man,
you're sitting on gold.
I guess I'm the only one that knew what it was when we were talking about it.
How did you get that game when you originally got it?
I mean, I was just a kid. Like I remember playing the first one. I rented it at like a Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or something. I remember playing the first one, and then I remember one day being at Sears with my dad, and I saw, like, we were walking by the electronics section, and Sears would sell like PS1 games, and I saw Toomba 2, and I was like, hey, I didn't know there was a sequel, because like I had just played the first one at a Blockbuster, and then I saw the 2, and I was like, oh, cool, can I get this? I liked the first one, and so I got it.
Nice.
Yeah, Sears, man. R.I.P.
Sears. I know, that's like I good old Sears.
Yeah, dude.
I remember it fondly, and by fondly I mean I just remember it. And what a weird place that old people loved, and then I would go in
It really
there.
Was.
And yeah, it's like, oh, it's like it's a weird place. Sells like bad fashion clothes, and
it was
TVs,
it was like a weird version of Macy's. Like I don't want to say cheaper because I have no idea, but it's just like a bizarro Macy's, I guess.
Yeah,
sold refrigerators.
power tools.
Yeah.
And then they had a video game section for some reason.
Yeah, they did.
It's like, I remember checking out their video game section back in the day.
That's also where I got my Mega Man Legends 2 disc.
Oh, nice.
Probably got a lot of my PlayStation 1 games at Sears.
Yeah, I guess you just lived near a Sears or something.
I did.
Classic Philly Sears.
Pretty much.
Well, anyways, this is the Sears podcast where we talk about Sears. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that happened this past week, and we should probably talk about that and not Sears.
Yeah, we'll get to the Sears talk later, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure. So first off, let's start with BlizzCon. That's seems like a good place to start.
I like Blizzard.
So BlizzCon just happened, or is still happening. Like, I feel like
it's.
I thought it was like a 1-day thing, but it seems like they're just like continuing to do stuff like a convention would.
Yeah,
typically.
yeah. I guess like it's all weekend.
Yeah, it's like I checked it like yesterday, and they were still kind of streaming stuff. It's like, I guess still things are still happening, but they all the big announcements, they kind of got out of the way.
Real quick, did you ever go to a BlizzCon?
No, I never went to a BlizzCon.
I was able to go in 2016, and it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. I thought this was even before I played Overwatch, so I had no experience with Blizzard. But like walking into the convention hall, I think it's in Anaheim they do it. Man, it was really beautiful. Like the statues they had set up and like the lighting system. Like they had like the Warcraft section, and then they had an Overwatch section, a Starcraft. It was really like it was just really cool to look at, and people cosplaying was pretty amazing. Like I saw like giant Reinhardt guys. Like, man, what is that thing? But it was really cool. It's a really good show in person, and hopefully they get to have it in person again.
Yeah, I mean, just conventions in general. Like,
yeah.
I hope it all comes back one day, because it's just like, all the fans kind of getting together in one place to celebrate something they all love. And, like E3 is great, or going to like the really big like Smash tournaments and stuff. It's just anytime you can just, that collective of people that just love that one specific thing can just get together. It's always great. So, yeah, it'd be pretty cool to go to a BlizzCon one day. It's on my list. Just haven't had a chance to do it.
We'll get there.
We'll get there one day when the world's back to normal.
Yeah, really.
But anyway, so there's some interesting news that came out of BlizzCon. Some interesting announcements, and I want to kind of move through. We have a lot to talk about, so I want to talk about a little bit of everything. We'll move through things kind of quickly with some of this, especially since. Some of this isn't necessarily like games that I play, so I can't speak too much on it. I know you're kind of the same way, but definitely want to hit on some of this. So, a few things that were announced. First of all, Diablo. A lot of Diablo news came through BlizzCon this year, and first of all, there's going to be a remake of Diablo 2.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. And also some new news about Diablo 4 and a new rogue character that's kind of coming back to the series.
Freaking one-eared bow and arrow master, just like a storm. The storm of arrows is pretty cool. Like seeing that was pretty cool. Yeah,
for sure. And so this is like great news for Diablo fans. So I've never been a Diablo guy. It's never been my kind of game, but a lot of my friends growing up like love Diablo 2. Like
I was gonna say that too. Like some buddies of mine were big into Diablo 2. Like some of their favorite games of all time.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's great that those fans of Diablo 2 are kind of getting this remake. And you can kind of. It's always cool when companies give you the option to switch back and forth between the original graphics and like the new shiny graphics.
I like that.
That's always cool because you can kind of check out like basically the new graphics is how you remember it in your head anyways.
Yep.
So when you go back and look at the old stuff, it's like, ooh, this is I
like this.
Yeah, I mean this is like cutting edge at the time, but now it's looking a little butt.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that happened to me recently when I tried Wind Waker on my GameCube. Like with the old output wires, the cheap ones they give you.
Yeah.
And I plugged in and I was like, oh God, this is all fuzzy and I can barely see anything. What is this? But in my mind, it's just like I remember it as the HD version. It's like, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Wii's hard to go back to now.
Oh,
we'll actually get back to that in a little bit here, but yeah, so that's great news for Diablo fans. You know, I know, yeah, like I said, you know, there's a lot of people that are just they love Diablo 2, and so it's always great to see these like remakes come out and
for sure,
you know, give people an opportunity to go back and replay a game that's might be hard to go back to nowadays. You know, for kind of technical reasons, like your newer computers might not be able to run that like old tech. I'm not sure with Diablo 2, but you know, some games are kind of like that. And then obviously, you know, more details for Diablo 4, which
I might
great.
I might pick up the Diablo 2 on on PlayStation just because like I've only heard good things about it, so it seems like a pretty epic and pretty awesome game. So I'd really like to try it out.
For sure. Is it coming to PlayStation? I thought it was just a PC thing.
I'm not. I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
Because Diablo 3, obviously, you know, that came to consoles. There was like a console version, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, it's coming out this year for both PC and console, with versions for the Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S.
Dope. I just overlooked that then. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So
try it out.
Yeah, console boys like us can give it a shot for the first time ever. So
yeah,
that's pretty rad. And then speaking of other games I don't play, so you know, there's new expansions coming to Hearthstone and World of Warcraft. So that's pretty dope. You know, basically what I wanted to sort of touch on with this is just like, man, it's so Blizzard's awesome. What an awesome company! Like they,
yes.
You know, I just want to just kind of congratulate them. Like they've been taking these you know, few series that are, you know, obviously they're really just strong series that they've just kind of been hanging on to for a super long time. You know, from Diablo to, you know, World of Warcraft is
old.
Like
it's old.
15 years old now.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And you know, it's always nice to kind of see a company really just take care of their fans and audience of their series. You know, a lot of times with games, like after a few years, a company will just kind of drop the, you know,
IP,
any sort of support for,
right.
you know, especially something that's online. It's like, we're not going to do anything for this anymore. And sometimes that's just, you know, the audience has dwindled, but, you know, Blizzard just has this ability to hang on to its audience for such a long period of time. You know, it's like both you and I, obviously, we're big Overwatch fans. We'll get to Overwatch 2 here in a second, but like, man, I've been playing that game for like 5 years now, and it's still going strong. It's like I still love just jumping in and playing a few rounds. It's like,
for sure,
it's great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're really good at what they do, and even though it might be limited, what they create and what they put out it's great. Like it's all. I don't know if there's anything that's been like truly like universally looked at that's like, man, that's not that good. I mean, obviously my experience is limited, but from what I know off the top of my head, usually what they make is pretty good, and everyone seems to really enjoy it, and they have a pretty good audience. I mean, you know, I think it speaks well when you can have an entire con just for what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not sharing any of this with anybody. It's just your stuff. So I think that speaks volumes. And like I said, when I went to the BlizzCon a few years ago, I mean, it was packed, and everyone was having a good time, and everyone was super excited about the games, and some of them I had never even heard of at that point. Like, again, like Overwatch, that was my introduction to Overwatch before you talked to me about it, and I was like, what? Mm-hmm. This world it's insane. Everyone loved it. And yeah, and speaking of Overwatch, like, to me, like, you know, taking away like the community aspect or how people act online, like if you look at it just from a gameplay design, like that's a pretty close to perfect game in my opinion. When it comes to an FPS shooter, I think it's excellent. Yeah. Like the development is really, really well done, and it plays super well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's almost a perfect game in my opinion as well. It's just, I mean, once you take out like the toxic people online.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and I know it's hard for some people to do that, but like you strictly when you have to look at it unbiased and straight up objectively, like that gameplay is smooth like butter. It is. It's really good. It's really good.
For sure. And before we get to Overwatch 2, I'm just kind of saving that for last.
Sure.
I wanted to touch on something that was kind of a surprise to everybody, which is the Blizzard Arcade Collection, which is basically a collection of these 3 retro games, the Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn. And, that's pretty cool. Once again, it's like I always appreciate a developer like kind of going back into their archive of old games and putting a nice spit shine on on a collection of them and releasing them to people to kind of try for the first time or kind of relive their nostalgic memories. And I haven't played the Lost Vikings before, which is kind of like a looks like a pretty straightforward like side-scrolling platformer kind of game.
My kind of game.
But I've played a little bit of Rock and Roll Racing and Blackthorn, and Rock and Roll Racing is like such a weird game because it's like I'm trying to remember the game. It's called just like Mutant Football or something like that back in the day. It was football. Like this, it's like this really weird game with like all these like mutants. It was like so 90s,
X-Men.
like playing not that kind of mutants, like gross mutants. Playing sports, and this kind of that game is kind of like it, where it's like these like weird aliens and kind of gross looking people racing like F-Zero style, but from like an asymmetric view versus like a behind the the racer view. And there's just like rock and roll music playing. Like it just sounds like
sounds awesome.
Like a 16-bit version of like Led Zeppelin music playing in the background. Stuff. It's just like super weird.
That also makes me think of this game called Mad Biker Mice from Mars, I think is what it's called.
Oh yeah. It's just the 90s, man. It's like all these like Street Sharks and all this like
it's a bunch of these weird animal or alien monsters with like attitude.
I mean that was the 90s. I feel like the Turtles sort of started it, and it's like everything has to have attitude and be like a weird creature.
Yeah.
Although you could also play like a Viking and like all these like from like a weird planet and stuff. If I'm remembering it correctly, it's it's kind of a strange game, and you can like shoot people. It's weird. It's a weird game. But
I'm down when it comes to those old give me all types of old weird Super Nintendo games. I love that console. I love those games. So I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna get this, and I'm excited to play it. Especially Lost Vikings, like I remember the cover for that when I was a kid, but I never played it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the last game, Blackthorn, is kind of like I don't know. It's kind of a weird game. It's kind of a platformer, but you're basically just like running around as this like 90s dude,
this metal guy.
He's just like a cool guy with sunglasses kind of look, and he's walking around like like Sylvester Stallone or like the Terminator or something, running through these like what looks like underground mazes, essentially, like shooting ogres.
Nice.
And what's funny is for the longest time, and I'm pretty sure everybody has like a couple of these games where it's like you have an image of it in your head, but you can't remember what the game is called.
Right.
Like I remember So Blackthorn was that game for me where it's like I remember this game from a buddy of mine's house a long time ago. He used to have it for his PC, and it was like really weird and like everything was kind of gross, and there's like people literally chained up to the walls behind you, and like you can go and talk to them, and they're like
it hurts,
like in pain, and there's like literally like enslaved humans and stuff, and it's like it was like such a weird game. I was like, what is this?
What are you playing?
And so it was like one of those games I've had it in my head for probably 25 years. Like, what was that game? And then Blackthorn, I was like, oh, that's that game. And I looked it up and double checked. I was like, yep, that's absolutely the game. I
That's
played
that weird
and
game.
yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. So thanks, Blizzard, for bringing that back up. Those horrific memories. But no, it's like an interesting collection. So I think it's out now. So, if people are like looking for something kind of old school to play, might be a cool one to check out.
I'm definitely gonna pick it. I think it was only like $20, so I'm definitely picking that up. Like it just seems right up my alley when it seems to I love old school like 2D games, especially if they're like platformers. I'm all about that.
Yeah, and then I always like the kind of museum aspects of those retro collections, like if they put together like concept art, stuff like that, which they have a bit of that in the in this collection, which is always cool to see. So thanks, Blizzard.
And this is a little off topic. I miss that about video games. Like, do you remember I think the PS1 and PS2 were really good at like that era was really good about having in-game like videos or like concept art or like behind the scenes kind of stuff. Like, one of my favorite memories from God of War 2 it was either God of War 1 or 2, when you beat it, you unlock these, like, little collectibles, and it's straight up, like, behind the scenes, like, mini documentary videos on, like, the making of the game and, like, the creative process. And I absolutely adored that. Like, I thought it was so cool, and it, like, at a young age, it made me think, like, maybe I could work in the video game industry. Like, I used to love those things, and I really wish that games would include that more nowadays. Like, I know nowadays the disc is filled with just straight up gameplay, which is great, and it should be, but like
just 4K assets.
Yeah, pretty much. And all that stuff is like on YouTube or whatever, or on the developers' websites now. But like, I really miss like those types of in-game rewards where you just get to see how it was made and the creative process. And I used to love watching those when I was a kid for all the games that I had whenever it was available.
Yeah, and I think some games still do a little bit of it. Like I think even like the new God of War had some like behind or like
they had their own
like character designs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
if
like
I'm not mistaken.
they had like some designs and like the art and stuff. But they also had a straight up documentary on YouTube that they released.
Yeah, and I for the most part that's kind of where that stuff lives now. But I mean, it would be rad to just bake that stuff into the game. I totally agree, and it kind of takes me to our next topic pretty well here, where Overwatch 2 it's still kind of a ways out, but they did give us like a nice kind of look behind the curtains, behind the scenes kind of
it was a great
video. And it was a great video with a lot of the development team kind of laughing and joking and talking, sort of just talking us through like new maps and modes and all sorts of stuff. And man, it was such like a cool little behind the scenes look that I wish they would take stuff like that and just bake it right into the game, because one thing I feel like video game fans do as a whole, and I would say I've done this before myself in the past, where it's like, you just kind of look at a game as a game and not like a thing that like hundreds of artists like poured years and years of their life into. Like, it's pretty easy to kind of do that. It's just like, Call of Duty sucks. It's just like they just spit that out
this
every
game is
year
trash
and they don't
and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, while you can have your opinion on like not liking that franchise, there's like hundreds if not thousands of people working on these games, and they all have like lives and families and like a passion to do that kind of work. And I think that's kind of left out of the opinion sometimes, and it's a bummer, because it's like, I've talked to a lot of developers, like when we went to E3 and stuff, we talked to a lot of developers, and man, it's just cool to like pick their brains, and you could tell like how like passionate they are about the thing that they're making. I would say it's much more rare to have like, developers just like, pooping out a thing they don't care about versus like
it's a job.
Most projects. It's like people like are really into what they do, and you could tell from this like behind the scenes video with Overwatch 2, like they're working hard on it. It's not going to just be Overwatch 1 DLC. It's like they're really taking their time to do it right, and
for sure.
They're doing what Blizzard does best, which is like what a lot of the best developers do, which is like they really just take their time and do it right, and it'll be out when it's out. And I mean they're just polishing this baby. Like
and it was cool to see like to see the game engine running, but like not a final version, because they're obviously testing it a ton, and you get to see like the different slightly different animation, but you can tell it's not finished, like that kind of in between stage. It would be right. I would really love to try a game in like, I guess that I don't even know if they want to call it beta, but like that pre-finished stage where it's like you can tell all the assets aren't done and the character designs aren't finished, but like you can see sort of new concepts being worked on. Like they showed a lot of that. I think her name is Sojourn character. I think that's how you say her name. But yeah, like her stuff looked really cool. But you know what my favorite thing that they said was?
What's that?
They said something that we had mentioned years ago, and they're finally implementing it. They were like, yeah, you know what? Some characters are going to have passive abilities. So, for example, a tank who's pretty heavy, they're going to have like reduced knockback damage. And I'm like, thank you. Like,
which they've been playing with for a while. Like I know a lot of the tanks have like some knockback now, but I guess they're just taking that like a step further.
Oh my god, yeah, because you just get bounced around. So like at Reinhardt, you're just this giant man in a giant mech suit, and you're just being like pinballed around the. Oh god.
Yeah, it's so frustrating sometimes. Yeah, you'll get booped by a Lucio, then like booped by like a Pharah rocket, and then booped by like
Hammond,
a Junkrat mine, and then like booped by a Ham. It's like, oh my god, can I just touch the ground?
Yeah, you're
please?
Just flying. You're like, man, I could swear Reinhardt could fly.
you like pop your ult, and you're like in midair for like 2 straight minutes.
Yeah, down
any day now.
But it was cool seeing them like talk about different ideas. They were like, we might give Reinhardt like 2 fire strikes would be kind of cool, and like giving characters like skill trees for the PvE side, which I thought was a really cool idea. I hope that stuff doesn't make it into PvP. Personally, like I don't like when it comes to PvP.
I don't think it will.
Yeah,
I think they're kind of keeping the PvP pretty like they're doing some changes and stuff, but like those skill trees and stuff, that's all staying on the PvE side. They've made that pretty clear.
That's the only thing I was unsure of, but like if that stuff stays on PvE, and honestly like PvE is like something I am really looking forward to, because they're like, I love the the monthly, every other month they have their events where it's usually like some sort of horde mode that you're fighting, and I really love those. I think they're super fun. Because as much fun as it is for it to be a competitive game to play against other people, I have a lot of fun playing those games against the computer as well. I think they're just as satisfying, and the stories are really cool too, like the mini little shorts they have.
Yeah, and that's kind of my takeaway from this is like I like Overwatch is great. And I think, like I said, I think it's for the PvP mode is like a pretty damn near perfect game. But man, the story. There's so much like character in that world. There's so much story that needs to be told, and
there's a lot of lore.
There's so much lore, and they haven't. They've had those the little scenes they've put out over the years. Which, side note, why aren't those just in the game? Why aren't they in the game? Like, just give me like a little option in the option menu with all the cutscenes. So it's just like here's. Here's all these little videos we put out online. It's like, just stick it in the game so that I don't have to like go to YouTube to find this stuff. I could just watch it in the game. But that's a side note. But there's the story just, there's so much there that I think they can explore, and so I'm really excited to see like a fully fleshed out like story mode in this game. Because I've said for years, like I either want a story mode or I want them to make like a straight to Netflix like CG
animated
movie
series or something.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's there's so many cool characters there, and those CG videos, little movies that they make are just awesome. They look like a Pixar movie.
I was gonna say, yeah, they look
for
like Pixar.
Adults.
Yeah. I mean that Dragons animated short is still so good. Like it's so good. I was just watching it like last week, and I was like, man, this is really good. Like,
yeah, they're all just rad. So
yeah.
I can't wait to see more of that and play Overwatch 2 whenever that comes out in the next couple of years. Someday. I really thought it was going to be this year, but probably next year. Like I would say like March of next year would be my guess when that game's coming out.
It'll be really cool too, because like that game, it can be designed like optimized for next gen console as well, which would be really nice.
Yeah, which, I wouldn't be surprised if that was kind of part of the reason everything's getting pushed back a little bit, because they're trying to tweak it for the new consoles, but also make sure it works with, the old consoles, because it's also, it's all going to be like kind of cross-platform and whatnot, as far as I'm aware, and so, I could totally see that being like one of the reasons for pushing it back, plus, COVID and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that was kind of the big news from BlizzCon. Just obviously, that was a big event, so I wanted to kind of talk through some of that stuff. And, I'm pretty excited for like everybody that loves those different series. Last thing before we move on, I was kind of hoping for like a Starcraft 3 announcement, but oh well, maybe next year. I'm a huge Starcraft fan. Like I love that story as well.
Nice.
And I would love to just see like a third game in that series. Like what a cool world that is.
Reinhardt is getting that Starcraft skin.
Yo,
that was cool.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, I
love that skin. But anyways, let's move on. We'll move from Blizzard over to Nintendo, where Nintendo also had like a big week this week. They had a Nintendo Direct, which they haven't had in quite some time.
It's been a minute for sure.
It's been a minute. And so they kind of hit on a bunch of different things in this, and just like BlizzCon, kind of move through some of this stuff a little quicker and kind of, and sort of hit on some of the more important things. But, there's like some announcements for Smash Brothers, some Zelda announcements, some Mario, golf announcements, Splatoon, all sorts of stuff. Monster Hunter's in there, Star Wars is in there.
Yep.
Miitopia for some reason.
Miitopia, hey man.
But anyways, there's a lot of kind of little announcements. We can blow through real quick, which, like I said, like Star Wars Hunters seems to be some sort of like free to play game from Zynga coming out.
Yeah, mobile developers.
Don't know what's going on there.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, some weird game. Neon White looks wild. I don't know what's going on. It's like a card game, like an FPS card game where you're flying through heaven, killing demons. I don't know what's going on there. The game looks crazy.
It's just, yes.
Miitopia, that old 3DS game. I don't know why they're bringing that back,
just put it on Switch at this point.
Just put it on Switch.
It's like they have a dartboard of old games, and they're just like, ugh, Miitopia? All right, that's going to go on Switch next.
And then, Plants vs. Zombies is getting some stuff.
Legend of Mana remaster.
Which that one's pretty rad. That's cool. That's a series I've never really dabbled in, and so it'd be cool to go back and sort of play that. Forgot to add that to my list here, so thank you for that.
I mean, there's a ton, so
I know, right? I totally missed that one, and then there's some new Mario content for Animal Crossing.
Yep.
So a bunch of wild stuff, but let's hit kind of the big things here. So,
about Miitopia.
Clearly the biggest announcement here. So let's start with Smash. We'll kind of work our way from there. So Pyra and Mythra.
I think it's Mithra.
Miitopia. So they got can't speak. They got announced for Smash from a series I haven't really dabbled with.
I've never played Xenoblade. I've never played it. It looks, it just never tickled my fancy. How about that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of wrap a couple things into what I'm gonna say here. So I've never been like a JRPG guy where it's like an action JRPG that's like pretty hack and slashy. Like I've never been a fan of spongy enemies in games, just ever. It's just kind of drives me crazy. It's like I have a giant sword or like a gun. Can I please just kill this thing?
Yeah.
Like give me like a really advanced AI that's like smart and can, you know, kick my butt with his brain versus like his brawn of like, you know,
just a giant
thousands
massive
and
health
thousands.
bar.
Yeah, it's, you know, I've never been that guy. So yeah, Xenoblade and Monster Hunter, I've never been into those two series for that reason. It's just never really been my style. So, you know, I know like for Monster Hunter Rise anyways, that's like a game that everybody, you know, a lot of people are like really excited about. And I think it even broke the broke the Nintendo Online service for a day with people trying to download the demo. So obviously that game is like super popular, and it's even getting its own like console release, which is pretty rad, like a special edition. So, you know, I'm happy for all the Monster Hunter people out there, but that ain't me. And kind of the same for Xenoblade. So it's like, I'm glad we're getting some new characters for Smash. That's always fun, but it's definitely from a series that I've never really gotten into. Also, I hate Shulk. I hate that man. You know, his stupid sword is way too strong.
Yeah.
And he's like,
could just
I hate that
up
man.
His jumping and his speed and all that stuff.
It's so annoying. What an annoying character to fight. I never feel good. Going back to Overwatch, like, I hate Tracer because, you know, it's like, it's just frustrating to fight her. It's like, even when you kill her, you don't feel good afterwards. It's like swatting a fly. It's like, get out of here. And I feel the same way with Shulk, where it's like, I don't feel good about this win. It's like, this guy's annoying.
I'm just disappointed that it's another Smash announcement without Dixie Kong. I've been waiting for her. I really hope that she can make her way into the roster. Yeah,
just any, like, no more sword characters.
That's the other thing. There's so many sword characters.
Yeah, it's like, we don't need any more swords. Like, Dixie Kong would be rad. You know, I've been championing for the longest time. I want Tetris blocks as a character.
That would be cool.
Like a swarm of Tetris blocks. If anybody could do it, Smash Brothers could. It'd be so. I mean, give me Waluigi with a stupid tennis racket. Like, give me that idiot. Like, just about anybody other than like a sword character. We have enough of those guys. I mean, character looks cool, or characters. I guess it's kind of 2 in 1. But
yeah, it seems like a Zelda Sheik kind of thing. 2 characters, the one character, I guess. But yeah, I mean, she looks cool. I like her fire sword. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, you know, I guess it's all right.
I guess it's fine.
I guess it's fine.
When it gets to like 90 plus characters, you can just be like, all right, I guess that's a fine choice for another character.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, I don't know. It's give me something without a sword.
Yeah. Make me a Smash character.
Make what?
Make me a Smash character. Like me.
Well, you can be in the game. You just have to make a me.
Yeah, you just make a me. Yeah. It all comes back to Miitopia.
All back to Miitopia, the world's greatest game. So moving on, let's talk a little bit of Mario Golf. I don't know if you've ever been a fan of this series, but man, I love Mario Golf. What a fun series.
I think the Mario sports games in general, they're just all really great.
Yeah,
like 100%. And this one, like, I really like this, the speed. I think they called it speed golf. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, I think it was, or like Super Rush mode. Super Rush mode.
Yeah. That looked like a lot of fun. It's just like hit the ball and just go. Like, you got to go to where it lands. Hurry. Like, I like that.
I want to do that in real life. I think that would be fun.
Yeah,
like hit the ball and you're like sprinting across the golf course like
or
a maniac.
Racing in the little go-kart. You just like race to the next hole. Like, yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, man, that looks like a lot of fun. And then, you know, they got a little story mode, and which could be really cute. I'm sure it'll kind of be similar to the Mario Tennis story mode.
I hope a little better than the story mode in the last in Mario Tennis Aces. Like, I was really hoping for like more of a RPG style game there.
Right.
Like, I love the old Game Boy Color Mario Golf and Mario Tennis games, and the kind of the RPG mechanics and the story mode for that was like a lot of fun.
Right.
So I hope this Mario Golf mode's a little better. I wish it wasn't Mii's. I'm kind of over the Mii fad. I wish like you could just create like a silly character to play that's not a me.
Or play. I mean, I wouldn't mind if you could like be one of the main Mushroom Kingdom characters. You know, just play through that.
Give me like a Toad that is, you know, he feels neglected, like he's just like not important in the Mushroom Kingdom, and so he's gonna make his name as like a golf legend.
Or like a boo. He wants to be a real boo again, so he just he's gonna play golf to prove himself that he's not scared.
So that would be kind of fun. Like give me all like the weird like side characters in the Mario world. Like they're all like, we're gonna make a name for ourselves. Give me like a Koopa. Give me a Shy Guy.
Yeah, I love that, man. I that's the thing. The Mushroom Kingdom, they've made this colorful world with so many interesting looking characters, and it's like, I don't want to go in looking like me or like a human or something. Like, let me play as one of them. I like them. They're cool looking.
Yeah, so, it's I mean, it still looks like a fun game. So
for sure. Those Mario sports games, they're great.
Yeah, and I'm not much of a motion control guy, but I might actually give the motion controls in this game a shot. Because like Wii Sports back in the day was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I used to love playing the golf game and the bowling game. Both were pretty responsive. So with like the Joy-Cons, it might be a lot of fun to play this like a semi-serious golf game.
Yeah, I had the same thought of like, oh well, you know what? I used to think that Wii Golf was one of the better Wii Sports games, and so if they could do it back then, they can only make it better now. So that was my first thought as well. I was like, you know what? Motion controls for the golf might not be that bad, because I initially, when they mentioned like motion controls, I was like, ugh, Nintendo, I get it, motion. But then I was like, oh, you know what, golf on the Wii was actually really fun, so it's probably going to be just as good for this.
Which side note, for people out there that love those old like kind of Game Boy Color or like Game Boy like Mario Golf games, Mario Tennis games where there's like RPG mechanics and you're kind of going through a story, go play Everybody's Golf. That game is so freaking good. I played that like a couple years ago on my Switch over like a holiday break, on the plane and whatnot, going to see family, and like that game is just fantastic. It is absolutely just like the old Mario Golf, Mario Tennis games for the Game Boy. It's man, I love that. Like the story's super silly. You're playing like this, basically a doofus. Like you're just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like I suck at life. Like everybody hates this guy. They think he's like such a joke. And then, you just go through this game and you get better and better as a golfer, and you're like winning tournaments, and everybody's like, oh, you must have like, that was like, you got lucky because you're actually like a doofus and nobody likes you.
What year? What year was that?
Maybe 2017, 2018, something right in there.
Because that makes me think of Golf Story as well. Like both of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Everybody's Golf Story is the game. I'm talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My bad. Everybody's Golf is another game. It might be just a PlayStation game if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at it. I did a quick Google search. Like, wait, Everybody's Golf? Because I remember Golf Story. I was like, did they have two big golf games the same year?
No, that's my bad. It's I'm just going off memory here, but man, Golf Story is such a good game. I love that game. So if you're into those kind of like those old school kind of RPG sports games, go play Golf Story. That game is so fun.
For sure.
So moving on, a couple other little things I want to get to here. So do you want to, all right, I'll give you the option. You want to start with Zelda and get that out of your system, or you want to move to Splatoon and talk a little Splatoon?
No, go to Splatoon. Zelda is, right. I'm just here for the Joy-Cons.
Oh man, those Joy-Cons. Oh,
right?
Nintendo just knows how to get me.
Yep.
You can play me like a violin. So, so Splatoon 3, we got a new trailer, and man, it looks rad.
Theatrical trailer too. Like it was, weren't you just complaining about theatrical trailers not that long ago?
Yes, but in this case, I think it works. Like, because it wasn't a theatrical trailer in the way like, oh, that's never going to be in the game or something.
Right, yeah. It doesn't even look like the game.
You could tell like this is like the very start of the game.
Yeah.
And your Squid Kid's out in the desert for some reason. Yeah, and you're basically like taking a train to the city, and man, it's just like, what a cool little trailer that was.
Yeah, it makes me think more about this weird fishy world where fish are now living above water and these weird half octopus, half human creatures just play paintball games with each other. And
yeah.
the world is weird, and I like it. It's very interesting. But I also thought the weapon that I think it was a girl, it's hard to tell, but that the trailer was focusing on, that bow and arrow, that was really cool. It looked really cool.
Yeah, 100%. And I was a big fan of the first Splatoon, and when the second came out, I kind of dropped off for a couple reasons. One being, I actually think the Wii U gamepad was the perfect way to play, because you could launch yourself with the gamepad, and it just didn't feel as good in Splatoon 2. And also, like, man, they need to fix voice chat and well, friend codes and all that. Yeah. I mean, I know that's like a much bigger conversation I don't want to get into, but it's just one of those things, like, if it was just set up like, the PS4, PS5, or even like Xbox Live, where it's like you can easily just jump into a group chat with your friends and I know I could do Discord and all that, but I'm not trying to do all that. Like, let me discover some like cool people to play with while playing Splatoon, and then party up with those people and keep playing. And so I got a little frustrated with that, and sort of checked out of Splatoon 2 pretty quick. And because of that, I never got around to the campaign. But now I want to go back and like play that campaign, because it seems like something clearly happened, and I want to see where this story goes now, because it's like the campaign in Splatoon 1 was so good. And it just felt like a Mario Sunshine-esque kind of game. You're jumping around, you're like painting things. It was a lot of fun, and I'd like to go back and play the campaign of Splatoon 2 to prep for Splatoon 3, because it just looks great. It looks like they're really just finding their stride with that series.
It's cool to see one of their newer IPs like actively doing well. Like Splatoon it's a relatively new series when compared to Nintendo's other IPs, and I know it's super popular in Japan more than it is here, but it's doing well enough to garner a legitimate series. And again, like, the play style is super fun, and I've only heard good things about the story, especially in the second one where they had like weird DLC story mode as well, which I heard was really good. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna play some Splatoon 2, and man, I'm so on board for Splatoon 3. It's like, it's been a minute now where I haven't played. I'm like super excited about it again, and it's just like such a cool world, and like I love like this new kind of city that the Squid Kid's going to and whatnot. It just like looks rad. I'm way into it, so I'm pretty excited. But that's a Splatoon. But let's talk a little Zelda. Let's take it down a notch. Let's really get into this for a few minutes. So, no Breath of the Wild 2 announcements.
Well, technically, womp womp. I mean, he just said more to come later this year.
Yeah, which is good. That's true. I will say that. Yeah. So hopefully some news later this year for Breath of the Wild 2. It's probably going to be a next year game, be my guess.
Yeah, it's looking like that.
Yeah. And then they gave us a trailer for Skyward Sword.
The most beloved Zelda game.
I don't know about all that. But, so basically they're doing a Skyward Sword HD remake. Obviously that was the game for the Wii with motion controls, where you're like slicing baddies with your little, Wii remote. And it's a weird game, because there's a lot to like about it, and there's a lot to not like about it. I've played through that game. I think you dipped out of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, when I originally played it, I got to a point where I could not do it anymore with the motion. I was like, I just can't play. Like, I was... Maybe it's because I was younger and I was like, I don't know what to do, or I can't do this. But like, I played for a few hours, And then I was like, I just can't do this. I can't play a game like this. It's not for me, and I don't like it. But I also just wasn't a fan of like the world. Like, I didn't like the flying part, being on the bird. I didn't really like that. You know, it just felt like I was disconnected from the world almost. You know, it's like,
right.
Because, you know, in all the previous Zelda games, it's one giant map and you just kind of travel around and you explore and stuff. And this one, it's like pockets, you know, and you know, fly. And I didn't like that. It's just like, no, I want to be in the world. I don't want to fly above it and, you know, I just want to be there. I want to see it for myself, not fly on this bird. Like, I don't want the bird. Leave me alone. Like, and I just wasn't a fan of like having to aim everything with the Wii stick, and it just
the old Wii stick.
yeah, you know. And then it was also at a point where when I was playing that game, I was like, this doesn't look good. And it was because I was playing on a Wii and I also had a PS3. And so I was used to playing games with an HDMI connection, HD, and I was like, this doesn't look good. Like, I just don't like this. This is not fun. Like, that was basically what it was for me. When I was playing it, I just wasn't having fun, and I just couldn't do it. And, you know, I'm going to play this. I'm going to buy it, obviously, because I just buy Nintendo stuff, and it's, you know, and that's just what they have. They have that power over me, and I totally cop to it. And I know it, and you know, I'm gonna buy the game and the Joy-Con, and it doesn't make sense because, you know, they're both probably the same price, and the Joy-Con might be more expensive. And
I wouldn't doubt it.
And I remember like the Skyward Sword, you could get like the golden Wii remote with it for like the same price, and now you're paying two separate. Whatever. Like, I'm gonna buy it all. I'm gonna do it. I'm happy that I'll be able to play with my Pro Controller. I'm not happy about having to use a stick to use the sword. I don't like that. I think I'm just like, why can't I just push the button? I don't want to have to, like, just stop making me have to, like, integrate weird motion into the game. It's like, it's a Zelda game. And, you know, I'm sure many people love it. I'm not talking down on it because I never even beat it. So I can't speak to like the rest of the mechanics or the story or, you know, how good it is. For my limited experience, I didn't have fun. And I just want a regular play style with a regular controller, you know, especially post Breath of the Wild. You know, it's very important to say that. It's like in a post Breath of the Wild world, I think it's easier to go back to a game like Wind Waker that it would be to go back to a game like Skyward Sword, you know?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest problem with this here. It's like going back to this game after Breath of the Wild, I think it's going to be really hard for a lot of people. And if they haven't played this game, I think they're going to be a little disappointed. I played through it, and like I said, I think there's a lot to really like about that game. I actually really, really like the story of it. And I think the boss fights in that game are some of the best in the series. They're a lot of fun, even with like the Wiimote. You know, I actually really enjoyed my time with that game, and even like the motion controls and stuff. Like, they had you doing some interesting things. But I totally understand why a lot of people didn't like it. And you know, there were times where it's like, you know, the controls would get a little frustrating. But overall, like, I had fun with it. My biggest problem with the game actually comes from it feeling really repetitive. Like, basically, once you get halfway through that game, it's like, great, you like got through all these areas, now do it all again. And it sucks. Like, it really just, like, the pace just hits a wall where it's like, so I have to do this again, but now it's like underwater, or I have to do this again, but now it's like covered in sand. It's just like, geez, man.
It's the very typical Zelda formula of like, you did the world, now here it is flipped but worse kind of thing. Yeah,
it just wasn't fun to go back and play through those areas again.
Right.
And there is like this one particular boss fight. It's like this big black blob of a guy. And you have to like hit his toes with the sword, and you have to do that fight like probably 6 times in that game, and it's just so annoying. Yeah. He just like keeps coming back, and like, oh, you got to stop him again, hit his toes, and it's like, can I not do this anymore? So that game starts to get really repetitive, but like I said, I really like the story. You know, I liked some of the interesting things they did with the boss fights, except for that one with that guy with the toes. And then I really like the final fight in that game. It feels very epic. So it's like if you can kind of work your way through some of the grind of that game, there's things to like about it, but definitely not the best in the series by far.
Yeah. And like we talked about this before, and it was like part of the predictions and stuff. It's just like, why is Wind Waker HD not on Switch yet? You know? Why can't
It's wild. It's wild.
Like, why can't I play that yet? Why can't I play Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask? Why can't I, dude? Put a Link Between Worlds on Switch, man. You know how good that game is. So good, and like,
but Miitopia.
Yeah, like of all the 3DS games, Miitopia instead of a Link Between Worlds. Like
that is shocking.
Like you have, and I will honestly say, like honestly, like a Link Between Worlds, I think is one of the best Zelda games. It is so good, and I don't think that game gets enough credit. You know, or attention, because it's not on a main console. It was on a 3DS, but it is still really good. And it's like, why don't you just do like, here's the 3DS collection of Link Between Worlds, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time, and here's it all. Like, why? It just seems like such an easy answer or like solution, you know? Or Wind Waker HD. Wind Waker HD makes the most sense because like there's a Wii U game.
Yeah, drag and drop it.
Yeah, like so, I don't know. It's like, of all the games to bring back, it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to come down on it because I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it has a lot of fans and a lot of people love it, and that's great. And you know, maybe second go around I'll enjoy it too. But like, I just think there's better options. You know, it's just, I don't know. But the Joy-Cons are tight. I will say those are nice Joy-Cons. Yeah, those are some nice Joy-Cons. I'm getting those like as soon as I can. That's a insta buy, you know? Like, I'm gonna buy that as soon as I see it. So
for sure. All right, well, let's move on. I have one more thing I want to do before we end the show today. A new segment that I'm starting. This is a working time. Oh, you know, I forgot to say, Project Triangle Strategy. That was a game we didn't touch on, but
tactical RPG with the Octopath Traveler development team. Looks really cool.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
So I'm
working title.
Excited to working title. And working title for this new game that I've come up with. So I know we kind of talked off air about this, but basically you know, my partner Jerry, you know, she got me this Mario quiz cards game. This is a game she had when she was a little kid, like her and her brother, and she held on to it for all these years and finally like gave it to me. I was like, hey, you might love this. I'm like, yes, I do love this.
It's like, you like Nintendo? Here's some old garbage that I have.
Yeah. So, you know, I love like old, weird, like Nintendo toys and peripherals and stuff like that just make literally no sense. But are like officially licensed. Like all that stuff's wild. And so the Atlas, which, you know, I guess the Atlas Editions, you know, the dictionary people, I guess, worked out a deal with Nintendo.
Such a weird collaboration.
Yeah, so they made this Mario quiz cards game, and it's like just flashcards for kids, with like all sorts of wild topics from like history to religion to like plants and animals to sports. It's like everything. It's like, who are you aiming this at? Like just, you know, kids that love video games but like don't know anything else about the world. I don't know.
It's like we're aiming for that Nintendo/Jeopardy audience.
Yeah, it's weird. It came out in '95, but so I have a new segment called "You NintenDO'N'T Know Jack."
I like it.
And thank you. Still working title. If I think of something a little funnier or punnier,
it's better than Project Triangle.
It sure is. That's an awful name, by the way. Octopath Traveler, not much better.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyways, so this flashcard game has all sorts of genres, categories. So here's a few. I want you to just pick a category, and I'll pick a random, question for you. So, art, sports, and leisure, by air and by sea, domestic animals, geography. And you just like stop at one, I guess.
Okay.
History. The human body. land transportation,
It's so random.
medicine, meteorology.
I have one. So earlier you said by air or by sea.
Yeah.
And then there's also a transportation one.
Yeah.
So I just don't. Let's go by air or by sea. That sounds interesting.
By air and by sea. So your question, let me pick a good one here. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to find you a real good one here.
I'll just pick one at random.
Because some are funnier than others.
Oh, okay.
Let's do this one. So, your question is, what plane takes off and lands on water? And your options are a 747 jet, a hovercraft, or a seaplane.
A hovercraft. The 747 seems oddly specific. But I'm going to have to go with the seaplane. I think the seaplane is the one that lands on the water.
Let's see if you're right. Oh, it's seaplane.
Nice.
Seaplane. Thanks to pontoons attached to its frame, a seaplane can take off and land on water. The pontoons allow the plane to float on the water and to skim across it for takeoff.
Nice.
And these cards are hilarious because you get these funny little drawings. This one doesn't have Mario in it. This one's just like a plane for some reason.
Oh, I thought they would show Mario driving a plane.
Yeah, you would think so. Not this one. And then on the back, it's like a picture of a real
pontoon
seaplane and a bunch of information on it. So these cards are so wild.
It's so weird.
I'm going to pick you one more at random here.
Okay.
This one's pretty good. So this one's in geography.
Ooh.
Which doesn't seem like much of a geography question, but sure, why not? What is a breaker? Is it a new dance step, a wave, or a small island?
A breaker. I like the dance move. I kind of want to go with that. Okay, so it's clearly either a wave or what was the other one?
A small island.
A small island? It's geography, so let's go with small island.
So, I am sorry, Hob, but it is a wave.
Oh, I was going to say, was it the dance step?
It's the dance step. Everybody do the breaker. So this one has a great picture of Mario.
Oh, that's awesome.
Surfboarding on a wave. And like I said, all these are officially licensed drawings.
That's
I even
so cool.
found the artist that did all of these back in '95. I was
really?
looking at his artwork. I'd have to hunt him back down. I can't remember his name.
Reach out to him.
That'd be great. We'll get him on the show.
Yeah, and be like, let's talk about your artwork, some of your early work.
But to finish this, waves. The wind can stir up waves that move through the water. They may be small ripples or giant waves whipped by a hurricane to more than 100 feet high. When the wave reaches land, it breaks and laps the shore. And then there's a little picture of a realistic wave on the back.
So I guess breakers, that's just another word for wave?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because it doesn't say anything about breaker. It just says what a wave is.
Let's see here. I don't see where it said. Oh, so if the wind continues to blow for a long time, the waves mount higher and higher, then break in what are called white caps. Yeah, bunch of nonsense on here.
All right, so I'm just gonna take it as Mario taught me that another word for wave is breaker.
Yeah. Anytime you hear breaker 19,
that's what I was thinking.
That's like people surfing.
Yeah, that's just surfer talk.
Yeah, on a 19-foot wave.
Such a silly thing.
Yeah, stay tuned next week for what is a volcano. with Mario running from a volcano.
That's awesome.
Oh man, these cards are great. But yeah, I just wanted to start this game. For the listeners out there, if you enjoy this, please let us know. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, honestly, I want to see if we can get more obscure Nintendo things like that. See if we can bring them to the show.
Oh yeah, I love just wacky old video game related stuff. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, that is our show. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Remember that you can check out our show every Wednesday on YouTube and podcast services, and we're gonna start trying to do some more Instagram live videos as well. That was a lot of fun. I just need to work out some technical stuff on my end. Just weird Wi-Fi issues. But anyways, make sure to follow us at Go Multiplayer on Instagram. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, but main spot is definitely Instagram. However, can we find you?
On Instagram as well, at loverboy_Hav.
Oh yeah, and I'm at Zack Matscanis. That's ZACKMATZGANIS. Thank you so much for joining us this week, everyone. We appreciate you. Hopefully everyone is staying safe out there. I know it's crazy right now with all the cold weather, so hopefully everyone is doing okay. And of course, remember,
we love you, and you should love you too.
Oh yeah, love you so much. See you next week. Peace.